your divine life purpose? We know that is a big question, eh? A big question for you. Well, Vessel Marilyn asked that question over and over and used to change jobs maybe every 2 years until she came to this and realized, oh, this is what you've been talking about all this time. You see, each one of you has a mission. Each one of you has a purpose. Each one of you has an acknowledgement that is living and making and being the difference on this planet and in this galaxy. We're not sure that you're aware of that completely. I mean, hear lots of people wandering around saying, well, if I have such a big mission and purpose, what in the world is it? Breathe into the possibilities of it. Breathe into whatever could be in your wildest dreams what you would be doing, being, experiencing right now, here in this moment. You chose to come here. We know some of you are choosing that you wish to leave here, yet your mission is not done here. Your mission is still here. So what could it be? It may be simply to be a glowing light on this planet wherever you go. It may simply be to provide an outlet for dogs that are rescued. We have a friend that was a doggy foster care, had a doggy foster care center that when they were in between spaces and before they went to a no-kill pound or something, that she would help retrain the dogs that had been abused. Now, how did she ever come to that aspect? Well, we asked her, what is it that you love doing the most? And she said, playing with dogs. Well, the Syrians are overlighting the dogs, but sometimes dogs are treated harshly and they get to be retrained so they can re-enter society. You know, we asked another person, what is it that you love more than anything else in the world? And she said, well, I just love playing with babies. She herself could not have babies. So she just said, I loved playing with babies. And we said, well, volunteer at the hospital and see if they will let you come and just hold babies from time to time. She actually went to school to become a therapist in the pediatrics area and is now like a nurse or something, because she liked to hold babies. Every single one of you is unique. We know, we've been telling you that for 21 years. Are you going to get it now? Are you going to receive the fact that you are a divine creation of the world, of the universe, of the galaxy, of the beyond the galaxy? You are you. And you have that frequency. You have that gift. You have that energy that is a gift to all that you encounter. We think a few weeks ago we told someone to play the song, the old song by John Denver, The Gift or The Present or something. Play it, because it reminds you of who you are. And then acknowledge that you get to receive a gift from others as well. You see, so many times we give and we give and we give and we give. And in that giving, we also receive, yes. But sometimes you just get to say, thank you. I receive whatever you have to offer. And know that just by receiving something from someone or something, you are actually giving back. For they receive the gift of giving to you. So we ask you, dearest, what are you sharing? What is it that you choose in your world? Our dear host, Cheryl, she's got all kinds of things she's sharing. She's got the manifest your mastery. She's got all kinds of things. And teaching intuition. She's living her mission and expanding it on a global scale. Now that is her mission. Your mission may be to hold babies. Your mission may be to touch lives in a way that they have not been touched. You know, you have a client that said, what do I want to be when I grow up? And we said, what do you love? And she says, I love old people. Old people. She just loves old people. She loves to, and she became a singer. And she would work with hospice. And she would sing chants from the soul to help people transition. You see, there is something for everyone. And it is only a matter of using your own gifts, using your own thoughts, your own feelings to accommodate you. It is quite simple, dearest. We think our minds have to make it much more complicated. We have to think, well, I have to do this and this and this and this. No. What do you love? And then take the next step. And then see how it can be done. And then take the next step after that. And then take the next step after that. When the universe says yes to you, dearest beings of light, we ask you to say yes back. As you understand, when you say yes back, you are indeed saying yes to all that you encounter. And as you say yes, you can celebrate that. You know, yes can actually mean yowza in the energy, enthusiastic, and success. You see, that frequency of yowza or yeehaw, yes, enthusiasm, yes, equals success. All you have to do is take the next step. We know we've been telling you this for a very long time. We know we have given you many examples. We know we have given you many stories, so get it. Please. Take your next step. That is so important to the evolution of this planet. As our dear friend Kryon says, you are a magnificent being of light. You are magnificent, and all you have to do is show up and say hello. You don't even have to say hello, and you can be magnificent. And if you're not sure which area to say hello to, you can indeed take the scenic route. Do what the vessel Marilyn did and say hello to every possible career possible until she alighted on one that fit. That is the scenic route, and it was a beautiful one. Or you can take the direct route. Say, this is what I'm choosing. That is the joys route. This is what I'm choosing, and there's a straight line between there and there. Yes? Understand. Many of you know what we're going to say next. There is nothing new in the universe. Understand that everything is possible. And the only difference between that which is possible and that which seems impossible is right here, in between your fingers. or your ears, although that is a little lower. It could be in between many different spots up there, or it is here in your heart. Because someone at some point convinced you that everything was not possible. Well, are you ready to let that one go? We know you are. We see you nodding your heads. And you think, how can we see you when we are in Branson, Missouri, in this Master Randy Luna studio? And how can we see you? Well, everything is possible, dearest, and we see you, and we see you, and we see you, we see you, and we see you, and all of your guides. And they're all saying, yes, yes, tell them, let it go. You see, dearest, you are loved so much that the universe, source, God, is supporting your every desire. Every desire. So when you are accommodating that desire in a way that you really are not choosing, ask yourself why. What are you getting out of that accommodation? What are you receiving from that negative programming? And then flip it to the positivity of the universe and say, oh, I am shifting that reality. I am shifting my reality. And when I shift my reality, every reality around me begins to rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes, and rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes, and rearrange itself and accommodate and say yes. And before long, everything is perfect, just as you say it is, because it always was perfect, always is perfect. And you, in your truth and unlimited, infinite expansion, are also perfect. Dearest beings of light, we love you so much. We see you. We know you. And tomorrow we will give you another example of how to find your purpose, if you do not know it already. Because we love you so much. And we hold you in that infinite love. Namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. If you could imagine what it would be like on the other side of the veil with the incredible love for you at this moment when you allow this kind of message, there is even more. Because in that allowance, you have intent to hear. Intent to hear perhaps that which you need, but more than that, to experience things. It takes this intent, dear ones, for anything truly to be cognized by your consciousness. If you have come just to sit in the energy, it's one thing. But so many have come to actually cognize, that is to have an experience that goes beyond just sitting in the energy. There is an awakening going on. It's the best words that we can have. And if you take a look at what that truly means in your language of awakening, It means that you're actually in a different form of reality. That is sleep. And you know about sleep. To awaken from sleep is to come then back from a time where you would necessarily not be in the full reality. So you go from a slumber where perhaps you're having visions and dreams, and then you come back to a reality that you're used to. The metaphor of the awakening is just like that. You're about to have an awakening from what I can just describe as a slumbering sleep of old reality. It's a slumbering sleep of old energy that you thought was reality. People have always asked, well, is this really a dream, and are we going to wake up someday? You might say so. Your awakening is to a higher level of reality. You might even say it's a multidimensional shift, or just simply a shift of dimensions. You're going from what you thought was real into a higher reality. There'll be an aha experience to so many. An awakening to a higher level of truth, to a higher level of reality. This morning we talked about your heritage. Your heritage is that of divinity, period. That's who you are. You come in divine, and from that area and from that moment and from that place and from that dimension, if you want to call it, from the beginning, you are divine. And what happens next is truly what happens in the training that you get from your parents. As you awaken into this planet, what is happening? What is the energy? What are you taught? And that's free choice. But there's more. There's a lot more. What makes the difference between a human who comes in the same family and awakens differently than another? Two brothers or two sisters, or a brother and sister, and vastly different. And they're receiving the same message. Then we get into what we've told you before. How many lifetimes have you had? What have you learned? What's in your Akash that might then temper what you do next? It's complicated. But let me give you a premise. I told you of your heritage. Every one of you, divine. But the age of how long you've been on this planet often determines your awakening. I want you to imagine that each one of you has a package of seeds when you're born. This is a metaphor, dear ones. The seeds is a metaphor for an implanted information that is encapsulated until it's watered. Like seeds. And as you grow, and as you go through lifetime after lifetime, your experience on the planet is starting to water the seeds. And so the old soul, the one who has been here over and over, has the most seeds that have been watered, and they start to then come alive. And what's in those seeds, dear ones, is the potential of so many things. One of them is the ability to awaken into a new reality completely. And that is why we're doing the Circle of 12. It is the beginning of the final watering of so many seeds of the old soul. But this is all by free choice. although difficult for you to understand, you could have all of those seeds and you could water them with past life after past life and all the information, all the experience, and yet you might show up on the planet and choose to ignore the seeds completely, even the watered ones. And that then creates a human being who's often in denial of their own magnificence. They've watered the seeds for lifetime after lifetime. They come in this time and they say, I don't think so. That is classic free choice. That's also what we have defined in the past as the closet light worker. Some of you are married to closet light workers, both genders. And you saw them for their magnificence and you fell in love with them because of who they are. And you have perhaps gone on a tangent, you might call it, to others would say, of being spiritual or believing these things that I speak of now. And the other one will say, well, I don't think so, it's not for me. It is for them, but not now. But they have it in their seeds as well. This is the free choice of any human being, to water or not to water. But now I want to add the big one to you. This system of awakening has been with you all of your lifetimes. And that's why spiritual growth has been available for eons. And that's why many will see that which others don't and will go into avenues of meditation, of channeling, of doing kinds of things that perhaps are not mainstream, because they're awakening into higher truths. It's been with you for a very long time. But suddenly, you've passed the marker. What do you think of what's going on the planet right now? What decisions are you having to make? Have you noticed that one of the biggest things you've had to do is to water the seed of self-worth? Have you noticed that one of the seeds, old soul, that you're having to water right now is the one where you're able to step out of fear? At every juncture right now, you are being barraged with those who are saying the sky is falling. There is the pandemic. There is more. There is the astrology of the day. There is more. There is fear about this. There is fear about that. And it gets worse, you say. Have you ever had a time on the planet where you're presented by so much fear, potential fear, and those around you who are fearing? Have you ever been in a time where those who are supposed to present to you that which is happening on the planet, your media, your news, has tried to make it worse for you? How do you like it so far? This is the time of decision, dear ones, to either accept an old energy of anxiety and fear, or to step out of it completely with your magnificence and stand tall and say to the others, this is a reboot and you're going to see what's going to happen next. And they will literally beat you up in their conversations and saying, no, it's this, it's that. Have you heard about this? Did you know this was going to happen? Did you hear that channeling? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? And it's all black with fear. And then they say, well, if you don't believe those channelers and those people who say it's the end of the planet, just listen to the news. And they're right. Just listen to the news, because they'll enforce it for you. Here's what I say to those who will say that. Talk to me in a year or two, and then let's reconnoiter. Let's see what has happened. And you can see, what were you afraid of? Were you afraid maybe that this planet is in a pruning, a time when the things you don't need are being released, the ugly things are starting to come up for you to look at? Were you aware that might even include your economy or your leadership? On and on. This is the time where those things are going to show themselves, and you're going to say, I want this, I don't want this, I want this, I don't want this, because of what happened in 2012. I'll tell you, the sprinklers came on, and all of you are being watered. And all of those seeds that were dormant and sitting there and waiting for this time, since the creation of your soul on this planet, they've all been there, but a few of them have been held aside in case you made it past 2012. Kryon, I don't understand anything you're saying. What's all this about seeds and watering? And sometimes you're going to have to listen to these channels many times to understand the many metaphors we use. Let me be succinct. You are waking up in a different way, to a different energy, in a different dimensional paradigm. That's what's going on. Or did you not notice it? You think everything is normal. You've been asleep for months then. Things are changing, and they're changing in a way that is going to restructure everything. You will come out of this. You'll get through this year. You'll get through all of the astrology attributes. You're going to get through the fear and the things that might have happened or not happened. And you start to see things coming back. But they come back more powerful, more succinct, better. Even that which you would call the relationships between you and your children, you and your partners, you and your colleagues are changing. Did you notice? There are some that are dropping away suddenly, and there are some that are getting a lot closer suddenly. You think all this is a coincidence? Or is there something happening with the energy of this planet that's creating a different kind of thinking? There are things that are going to happen within 2 years, dear ones, with nation to nation, that you didn't expect. When some of the secrets that have always been there start to be revealed, of appropriate things and inappropriate things, it'll change your view of the planet, of each other. What if you started not to think about nation to nation? Instead, you think human to human. What if the connections that you have now through your technology start to build a firmer base of a collaboration from human to human, compassion from human to human, and not leadership to leadership? Up to this point, you've been told how to treat other countries because they say this or that, or they pass this law or that law. And suddenly, that may actually be much less of an influence. And instead, the major influence is you talking to the people in other countries without a language barrier even. That's coming as well, more than you know. What happens when the world can talk to the world? I'll tell you what happens. The leadership gets frightened because you're starting to see things that they didn't want you to see. And that is when things really start to change. You start to eliminate that which is no longer appropriate on the planet. And that's just about everything around you. There'll come a day when you will take the media to task and say, don't frighten us anymore. Give us the news which is good and bad at the same time. If there's bad news, give it to what's going on the planet, and then tell us the other side of the story, not just one. We want to tune in. We want our hearts blessed at the same time we get the information we should have, so that we can feel for the others, so we can solve problems and get a real story and not a spin that's been put on it to frighten us. That's coming. You're about to open a package of consciousness where many things are going to be revealed to you in a whole different light. Like the light has turned on, and you're going, I didn't realize that this was this way. I didn't realize this was this way. Look, we can solve some things here or there. The seeds are being watered, and when they start to blossom, dear ones, you see the tree of life. That tree of life is a coherence with the rest of the planet, a coherence between human to human, where things start to be far more logical to you in that which is compassion. There'll come a time when the planet will not fear as much as it does today. All of these things I am talking about are awakening the seeds that you've always had, should you make it past that place, if you want to call it that, paradigm changing area, if you want to talk about it that way, which is the difference between the old and the new energy. It's more than just a time. It's more than just a demarcation of the precession of the equinoxes in 2012. It's more than just a change of calendars for the Maya. You've gone across a bridge from an old to a new energy, which has the potential of changing everything on this planet. And right now, the difficulty is that when you change these kinds of things and this quickly, there's so much that looks black. But old soul, especially the ones who are hearing this, that's why you're here. You're here to shine. You're here to help those around you to see your continence and your lack of fear, perhaps even your joy, as you stand tall and say, we have expected good things for a long time. Let's get through this so that the sun can come out and we can get on with what we came for. Do you understand that the change of seasons often brings the trees to a standstill? The skies get dark and the leaves fall off and it gets cold and dangerous unless you cover up. And that's where you are right now. You're in a kind of winter on this planet. I'll call it the winter of consciousness. Before the sun comes out and the birds begin to sing and you start to see what was always there. But the colors that come back on the trees you've never seen before. The songs of the birds, you've never heard that before. And the sun comes out, and when it does, it shines brighter than it ever has before. This is the winter that we told you about, that will absolutely change everything. That winter is when things start to show themselves that are ugly. That's where you are, dear ones. For those of you who understand what I'm saying, take a breath and understand this. That's why you're here. That's why you're here. Those seeds are starting to awaken. And here comes something that was implanted in you a long time ago. The implantation of divinity. That is your heritage. Here it comes. Maturity, compassion, understanding, peace, healing, longer life. That's the tree that's growing right now in you. Kryon, I hope you're right. Talk to me in a year or two, and we'll see. Things are changing on this planet far differently than you ever thought. And you are right in the middle of it, by design, dear one. By design. A design of love. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
Wow, what a full day. Isn't it amazing how fast it goes by? And here we are at the final channel of the day. So please, if you haven't registered for the Lemurian Sisterhood and you would like to, the registration closes 1 hour, so 5 p.m. Mountain 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And you will not be able to register after that. We will begin the meeting exactly at 6 with the Kryon channel. So let us bring the energy of the day into one place in our being. Take a breath, close your eyes, and just relax. Soften your body. Let your limbs just feel that relaxation. Notice if you need to take another breath to let go of any places of tension, any holding that might still be going on. This is an opportunity for you to really find that place where you can listen with all of your being, not just your ears, not just watch with your eyes, but going into a deeper place, a place of listening, hearing, and receiving. We are so blessed to have the entourage with us, the star mothers, the angelic ones, Adironda's council. This is what brings us together now. Here we are together, this family of light, giving, receiving, bringing with us what we have come here for. We have come here to connect. We have come here for self-realization. We have come here for healing. And as you receive the energy in the channels, know that all of those places in your lives will be touched by the messages and the love of Kryon and Adironda.
So it is good day to you again. So good still to see your bright lights, your joy, your radiant selves. Dearest beings of light, we give thanks to Dr. Amber and her ever-present sisterhood that is coming in and bringing that energy from the star mothers. For as you see, that is the unfolding of the new times that are based in the ancient teachings. Very power-filled. In that energy, know that your own expectation that it is going to be in that capacity, that this new thing, old thing, what is going to be, is not what it is at all. You see, when you place the old energy into the frequency of the right here and right now, it all redevelops, it all shifts, it all changes, it all connects in new ways. So nothing is as it was before. It is only your belief that it ought to be. And there's that rub, There's the energy that gets in your way, trips you over your own feet, because it is not there. It is not that normalcy. Dearest beings of light, there is nothing any longer that would be considered normal. Nothing. No matter what you are living your life through, there are some constants that you can usually depend upon. When you breathe in normal circumstances, if there is such a thing, you will breathe out. When you breathe in, you will breathe out. However, there's still greater things working at play that are moving round about in new ways. As you see from dearest Mesha Caron, that the energy of the eclipse happens in a celebration time of the United States. The energy within that eclipse happens in that capacity of acknowledging the wondrousness of celebrating you. Again, that is a choice. It also acknowledges that new things are blowing in to the frequency of humanity. We are here in the studio of Randy Luna, who is, by his own calling, a weather geek. We've got geeks in the studio. We've got geeks here in Missouri, too. And the vessel Marilyn stepped outside, and it was all hazy outside and very odd energy. And she comes back in, and he says, "Did you notice the Sahara plume?" Now, what that means is that the sand and the energy from the Sahara Desert has moved its way all the way to Missouri. And he says that that happens from time to time. But this is the biggest one. Why? Because it is rearranging the expectation of what even the weather people say. It is rearranging and laying a new foundation of dust on the planet. And as it is arranging that new foundation of dust, even where you are stepping, it is different. That is power-filled energy, power-filled information. For you see, one would expect that if they pick their foot up and put it down, it's going to be the same. And it is not. It is about the new energy that is moving in. Yes, when you take a deep breath in, you can still take a deep breath out. You can still take a deep breath in and you still let the deep breath out. However, there are new ways to be even breathing and stepping. And we would ask for you to work with that. A few weeks ago, we talked a little about box breathing, where you're breathing in to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, breathing out to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, and breathing in to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4, breathing out to a count of 4, hold to a count of 4. That shifts your frequency, that keeps you from expecting the earth to be the same wherever you put your foot. We also see another breathing technique where you are breathing in, and on your exhale, stop a third of the way there and pause. And then breathe out and stop a third of the way and pause. And then release your exhale. That tells your body that something new is amiss. Something new is coming. Something new is in the air. It may be sand, but something new is coming through. That tells your body, it's a little warning to your body that there is a new frequency that is here on this planet. It is a power-filled frequency. It is the new energy of love. It is the new energy of connectivity. It is the new energy of you, without the expectation that when you pick your foot up, it's going to go back down in the same direction. Because what it's putting back down is a little layer, maybe even invisible to your naked eye, of moving sand from the other side of the planet. Now, there was a time ago, many, many years ago, that where we said, well, we take a deep breath here and they feel it in India, which is true. Now, you take a deep gaze here and you see the sand from the other side of the planet. That energy is not a caution for you to be afraid of what is happening. It is the energy of following that plume, following that flow of the vibration to see the newness that is you. So, dearest beings of light, what is the newness that is you? What can it be? You have received all of the teachings today, and tomorrow you must receive all of the teachings tomorrow. And if you're not there with us tomorrow, why not? Or Monday, why not? For you see, this is your time to acknowledge in the very cells of your field the newness of the new dimension, the frequency of matching up of the nodes and the nulls and the energy that is flowing around the planet. There was a teacher many years ago, Simon Peter, we believe his name is, that drew ley lines, new ley lines. Those ley lines are now coming to pass. Then it was considered maybe science fiction. These are the times that science fiction was written about. And you, dearest beings of light, volunteered to be here at this time. You said, pick me, I want to go down to earth at this time to see how those changes are handled, to see how that frequency of anxiety transforms into the frequency of benevolence. Yes, breathe deeply into that. Breathe in and let just 1/3 out. And pause. And 1/3 out. And pause. And 1/3 out. And then breathe normally. What happens in that moment of pause? Where are you? Where is your brain? Where is your mind? Where is your energy? Where is your frequency? Are you saying, oh no, am I ever going to breathe again? No. You're just taking a pause of presence. You like that, eh? A pause of presence. And with that pause of presence, every cell in your body, every cell in your field, if you haven't seen the movie The Field, you should, every cell in your field is becoming present. And watching the plume of the Sahara Desert through the energy, watching the flow of the sands of time as you would, moving through this universal pathway. That is what is happening on this planet. There are things happening right here, right now, that have never been experienced in the history, the thousands of year history of this planet. And you are here to see, sense, feel, hear, know what is being experienced. So are you experiencing that anxiety? And when you breathe, just as we did, that anxiety lessens. Are you experiencing a trauma when you look at the television set and it's got news on it that does not resonate with you? You are learning to see in a different way. You are learning to release your expectations of the way you believe things ought to be, because there is no ought to any longer. Instead, there is truly here and now. And the only ought to is that plume of energy that is naturally moving round about this planet to cleanse, to heal, to shift your expectations. You know, when you stand on the sand by the sea, that the ocean can come up and the sand actually moves underneath your feet. That is what is happening now. And it is a power-filled energy. And that is why there are so many channels in the world. That is why we nudged our vessel Marilyn. That is why Kryon and Lee Carroll nudged our vessel Marilyn to teach that, to share the techniques, because it is time for you to receive your information, because your information is what is the evolutionary path of this planet. So breathe in and release 1/3. And pause. And 1/3. And pause. And 1/3. And then breathe normally. Shifts your brain. Shifts your energy. You are activated. We open your heart and activate the feeling of unconditional love right in it. Take another deep breath and exhale normally. That is how it happens. Take another deep breath and exhale normally. You see, even the plume is not an accident. Even the eclipse that is overnight on a day in the United States of independence is not an accident. You indeed are a part of a vast plan that is moving and flowing with the changing sands of the universe. And that is exciting. We will see you tomorrow and the next day, because we love you so much. We look into your hearts. We look into your soul. And we see you. We see you with divine love. And we are honored by your courage to be here now in these times. We love you deeply, and we bid you namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. This is the second channel of 4, which we are calling the Healing Channels. I started this morning by identifying 4 major aspects of the healing of the human body. It's the first time I've ever put these together in this way. In review, the first was the chemistry of the body, a very 3-dimensional engine. The second was the inheritance from the physical ancestors. That is also 3D. The third was what we will call the Akashic template, which I will discuss tomorrow. And the fourth, just consciousness, which we'll also talk about tomorrow. Again, we say to those perhaps who have just tuned into this number 2, that there's a place where all 4 of these exist, so you do not have to wonder where the rest of them are. And that place, as we have said before, is that which you call the site of Kryon. I want my partner to go slow now so you will understand fully the concepts, the information, the feeling, and the energy of what we are about to tell you. You cannot discuss these 4 attributes of healing without first information that would seem immediately to be metaphysical, perhaps even technical, in a metaphysical way. But you cannot discuss even one of these attributes without this truth. It is a basic truth. It is a truth yet to be validated but discovered many times. A truth that seems beyond comprehension to those who study cellular biology and medicine. And yet it is a truth that will be discovered that will change everything. And it's this: your biology, all of it, all 4 of these attributes, all sit in a field. Now, this is not a field that has been created from channeling or from the healers here. This is a field that the body already has. We have spoken of this many times and in many ways. Are you or are you not a divine creature of God? If you don't want to say the word God, say of the creative source. Are you or are you not related to the divinity of the universe? And most of you will say, well, I have a soul. That means that I probably am. And you're right. We've said it before. Most of the planet believes in the afterlife. Now, this means there is a strong belief that comes from innate, that says that after you die and perish in a biological form, there's something that remains. And that something you can call whatever, a soul, and that something is still you in some way, a consciousness something that is not in the body. This is the clear and constant, unanimous thinking of most of the planet. Over 80% of you believe in the afterlife. This 80% means that most of Earth understands you have a soul. Now, what does that mean to you, really? Honestly. If you want to go back to the ancients and the teaching and the training thereof, the soul also resides loosely in a vehicle called the Merkaba. Now, that is a Hebrew word that loosely means to ride. The human soul rides in this Merkaba, which has been described as a field energy, a bubble, approximately 8 meters wide. This is ancient information, known for a very, very long time. And it's something that describes this field that you sit in. Indeed, is that field 3-dimensional? Is your soul 3-dimensional? And you would say, oh no, the soul must be multidimensional, and it is. Some even say quantum. Follow my logic, because, dear ones, this is the crux of everything I'm going to teach in these 4 lessons in healing. And that is this: your body sits in a field of unity. And that means that one thing affects another, affects another, affects another. Is it possible that even the chemistry, number 1, of your body has multidimensional attributes? This was actually shown and proven many times over by those who asked that question and dared to test it. One of the first, almost 2 decades ago, was Vladimir Poponin, a Russian scientist who decided to use photons of light in an experiment with DNA. And in the DNA field, he watched those photons of light do things that they were never supposed to do. He realized that what he was seeing is light, which is multidimensional. It can be in 2 places at the same time, interacts with human biology as though biology was interdimensional as well. He saw it. Others have seen it. We teach it. So the first premise of everything is that your biology, your simple chemistry, your DNA itself, has multidimensional aspects and attributes. So if this is so, it means that even the chemistry layer, even the 3D layer number 1, that the doctors will push and pull on with the chemistry of the day, of the drugs of the day, even that is multidimensional. Let me ask you, are you using any multidimensional tools to react with that chemistry layer? Your medicine isn't. It's using 3D to push on a multidimensional source. And the result I told you this morning is that there are side effects for every single push. Called homeopathy. The body cannot actually see that as chemistry, but it sees it instead as an instruction. Do you get that? It does not see it as chemistry. It sees it as an instruction. And the headache leaves. There's something in your chemical body called the smart body, innate. This is part of the chemistry, built in. It's the smart body because it is used many times by even the physicians who understand kinesiology to test what you don't know about yourself. The smart body will work with muscles, giving you information that never could be given any other way. Suddenly, you're opening a door even to layer number 1 that says, look, the basic 3D chemistry isn't 3D. It must be multidimensional because it's responding, seemingly, in a non-allopathic way to signal sets being given to it. What do you think of this whole idea of a smart body? That smart body, dear ones, has been given to you so you can ask it questions, so it will know more than you do. It's only touched the surface in what it knows. That number 1 set, called chemistry, is far grander and greater than anything you would imagine. It has to be. Number 1 layer, called chemistry, is the engine of the body. It is the engine. Everything starts and stops at the engine. The engine either propels you forward or doesn't. It either works or it doesn't. It doesn't partially work because that leads then to failure. This engine of yours is constantly rejuvenated over decades and decades and decades. It's a smart engine. It's even more smart than you know. But everything starts and stops at the engine. So the chemistry layer is critical. Now you start asking the questions. What is it that you could do to give instruction sets to the basic chemistry engine that would change it? Question. To those who work in homeopathy, when you give a tincture, a remedy, to a human being, and the human being then is cured. Question, can you see it in the chemistry? Does the microscope reveal the cure? The answer, yes it does. Indeed. Yes it does. Because the engine is the engine. The chemistry must change in order for the healing to have occurred. So if you give a tincture for an immune boost, for instance, something that is supposed to make you less susceptible to disease, if you tested the human being, would you see an increase in the white blood count? The answer is yes. You see, homeopathy works. It changes the chemistry. Against all things that you might expect, homeopathy is the key to the understanding of instruction sets that change the chemistry physically in the body. So everything I'm going to talk about in that which is the healing would change the chemistry. It has to. That's the engine. Do you know people who have had cure from disease? Do you know people who have had a remission to the extent that disease is gone? Do you have any friends who might have had a divine healing? And if they had a divine healing, quickly, if you look at their chemistry in a microscope, does it change? And the answer is yes. You see, the divine healing changed the engine. So the chemistry, layer one, the engine of the body will always react, will always change with the instruction sets that follow. Up to now, your instruction sets, dear ones, have been pills. And those pills aren't really instruction sets. They're reactionary. A chemical pushes against a chemical to cause another chemical to change, and in the process, many change. Because you see, there is a unity of field. When you change one thing, other things move and other things change. Now, in the allopathic number one layer of chemistry, that isn't so good. But let me tell you something. If you give the right instruction set that doesn't push against chemistry but changes the reaction, there is no side effect. It's a cascading healing. Remember that word. A cascading healing, where you give an instruction set for the body to strengthen itself in one way, and it strengthens itself in all ways, because that is the way the engine works. When you give the engine a certain kind of chemistry, if it's your car, you give it certain kind of oil or gasoline or whatever it is, that's not all that gets improved. It runs better, it acts better, it lasts longer. There's no side effect. So what I'm telling you is this. You're going to develop instruction sets that create cascading healing, not chemistry that pushes against each other and has side effects, but chemistry that changes its reaction to itself. Chemistry that changes reactions to itself. Kryon, what are you talking about? Ask the person who had the healing from cancer. What did the microscope show? And they'll say, doctor said I'm free of cancer. So you mean it's not still there and some divine angel is sitting on it? You say, oh, how silly of you to say that. Well, what else would have happened? Of course it changed the chemistry. You wouldn't be alive if it didn't. I want you to get the point. Everything we're going to talk about changes the chemistry, but it changes how the chemistry looks at itself. Enter layer two. Layer two. your inheritance. If you're a three-dimensional thinker and you don't want anything to do with this message, you're going to say, genes are genes are genes. You can't change them. And they will always be there. And if you have a propensity for disease that your sister had, your mother had, your father had, it remains. It's there. It changes your cellular structure. It pushes upon it. Propensities are that way. Propensity meaning you're going to get it. Chances are it's going to push the chemistry into disease like it did your relatives. So the inheritance, very three-dimensional, is looked at with all of the chemistry by all doctors to see what are your propensities to catch these certain things or to develop these certain things. What did I tell you when we started? You sit in a field where everything reacts with everything. You've already discovered that homeopathy is a signal set which is not really linear, is it? Because you're not giving chemistry other chemistry, you're giving it a tincture. So many parts per million that are so minuscule, it couldn't possibly have a chemical reaction. And that is proven. So why does it change? It changes because it saw the instructions somehow from a source that yet you have yet to understand or discover or really recognize its importance. What if I told you this? There are signal sets that can talk to the inheritance part of your body. And it doesn't take away the gene, dear ones, because those who can count the genes, those who can recognize them, the science that could say you have the gene for this or that, that does not change. The chemistry didn't change in that point, but what did was the body's reaction to the gene. You just rewrote the program. Is it possible that you can rewrite a program in your body that is a program that gives you a predisposition for disease? Well, if you knew how this amazing body of yours works, it's programmed. All of it. It works a certain way because it's programmed to work that way. It's programmed as part of the genome. And what you're doing is coming in and rewriting that program. It's not spectacularly odd, dear ones. It's not woo-woo, dear ones. You're simply changing that template of the programming that's already there. Kryon, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that if I have the gene for a certain disease, that I can rewrite that whole thing and it won't give me that disease? Welcome to understanding. Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. So even within the first two layers, there's miracles. I haven't even touched on the woo-woo yet. I haven't got to 3 and 4. That's tomorrow. Just the first two. Just the first two. Have miracles waiting for you to discover. Yes, you can rewrite. How do I reprogram? Kryon, tell me, what is the process? What do I go through? For 31 years, I gave you the answers. Book after book, channel after channel. It's all there. It starts with your belief. What you cognize in your brain becomes your reality. Adironda, who was channeling before me, they said the same thing. What you imagine, you can create. What you think changes outcomes. We have said this so many times, and now that is even becoming the reality. Some of science is even starting to see that those who would imagine they're always sick become sick. And those who imagine that they are always well never become sick. And they say consciousness must therefore play some kind of part of health. Welcome to understanding. Oh, it doesn't play some part. It plays the whole part. We haven't got there yet. That comes tomorrow. You first have to believe you can. Those who say, oh, I think I'll try it. nothing will happen. You don't try it. If I tell you that gravity is going to take over when you jump off a bank of a river and to go into the water, do you say, really? Really? I think I'll try it. You don't try it, you go into the water, you see? You have to cognize it, understand it's got to be yours. You have to work on yourself to the point where you say, I am a creature who is quantum. I have the ability in this soul of mine to sit in the field and work with my own chemistry. Affirmations come into play, dear ones. Affirmations where you are telling yourself over and over a truth that then becomes the truth. I am strong. I am healthy. I am free of disease. Do you know the power of that? That's tomorrow. But you already know where we're going with this. The engine of your body, the physical chemistry of your body will change. And they will be able to test it in laboratories. Why is it, Mr., Miss, whatever, that we're seeing your system so much stronger than it was the last time you were here? What are you doing? What pills are you taking today? We want to know. And if you say it's the pill of belief, it's the pill I'm taking now of taking charge of my own body. That's 1 and 2. That's just basic 3-dimension thinking around a quantum energy that is there, that you don't fully understand. Healing is far easier than you think. It is not a mystery. But if you believe everything you were told about what you can and cannot do, nothing's going to happen. Your inheritance, it's like a program that will carry out its destiny. Unless you change it. Unless you change it. You sit in a field of opportunity, of abilities, that no one really has told you about, that will be able to create healings in your body with and without help, but especially if you get a healer who will lead you through some of these difficulties, and they're watching now, and they're going, yes, continue, Kryon, give it to them. Those healers are the ones who will take you by the hand and say, here is how it's done. And that's why they are watching this program. That's why they exist as old souls on this planet, because there are so many who don't truly understand how to believe. What do you do, human being, when all your life you're told something is a certain way and suddenly you learn that's not true, or that may not be true, or there could be another way? What's your first impression? It's walk the other way, isn't it? Well, maybe that will change as well. There's new energies on this planet, dear ones. My time is up. Tomorrow I will reveal that which is layer 3 and 4 and tell you more and more about some of the real true power of the ability to change your chemistry in your own body. And the 4th channel, well, we'll see. New directions for my partner. Healing directions. I am Kryon, in love with humanity for good reason. Being able to give you information because of that love. Because of that love. And so it